All right, we're live. This is the November chat with patrons. And we've got Allie, Present Arms, Big Pod is already here, Streetlight, Powell, and quite a few people hanging out in the November chat with patrons. Let me mute the stream here. You guys in the YouTube chat, how's the sound, the audio level? And say something. Give them a good morning, guys.
Audio level for me
Good morning.
was great.
All right. Thank you.
Morning, people.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the planet.
So what have you been up to, Allie?
Well, I've been working on Nutix, actually, which is a source-based distro. It's basically based on Linux from scratch with a bit of crux involved. It comes with quite a decent installer, and then once you install the base operating system and like X, you just put any desktop on you want. But it compiles from source, so you know it's not for everybody. But I'm having good fun with it.
Yeah. So is it something you're gonna hop to?
No. It's just something for learning purposes. Because the distro I use and develop with is very GUI based and there's not much typing involved. I'm trying to lose some old skills. So it's getting me back into the old skill set of actually compiling from scratch and all that kind of business.
Test.
All right. YouTube chat said they needed a little louder from us. That's a Pulse Audio volume control thing. For some reason, it had the Zoom inputs really low, but now we are recording at 100%. So continue on, Allie.
Okay. Yeah, continue on. I don't know what much more to say. Other than that, I'm getting my Trinity for the December release. My Trinity will be out so like the 4th or 5th of December. So that'll be an ISO. And then I'll be doing my open boxes.
Yep. Well, we will definitely be checking that out. Yeah. You know, I like Trinity and I love me some open box. So.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
What you been up to, Big Bud?
Nothing much. Basically doing stuff on my server. Installed a virtualization operating system called Proxmox, which is based on Debian, I believe. And been playing with that mostly.
Yeah. Now, people have asked me to take a look at Proxmox. I'm not sure what I would do with it. What are you doing with yours?
I host in there a couple of VMs I have. Mainly that.
Yeah.
It's for school. I have it for school, so I can write a paper on it then.
Yeah. So you were forced to use it, huh?
Not really. It was my choice what I will use.
All right. Anybody else here has working audio?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Matt, you are good.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. You must be a Pulse Audio Pro because you nailed it.
Right. Pulse Audio-K.
Yeah. Sometimes we spend 10 minutes on these streams just sorting out audio.
All right.
So what distro are you using these days, Matt?
Manjaro, as always.
Manjaro is a fine choice. Yeah.
Yep. On my laptop, you know, that last stream I was on, I was saying I was getting ready to build a PC, and I finished it. On the laptop, I had like Manjaro, Arch, Fedora, and Arco. But like this PC, this desktop it's a gaming PC, and I just put, you know, just to keep it simple, I just put one distro on it, and Manjaro is the easiest to get up and going with gaming. So, and it's the one I'm the most familiar with, so I just decided to stick with Manjaro.
Yeah, it does seem like everybody is moving to an Arch-based system for gaming. I did a video about that the other day, and people were like, "And where do you get these stats from?" I was like, "Well, it's from the article I read, and he got it from ProtonDB. You know, they do a survey of their users. What are you running?"
Well, yeah, and like every time you post on ProtonDB, you got to say like your system specs, and it's all Arch, Manjaro. There's people on Antergos still for some reason, but yeah.
Yeah, it was shocking that 17% of those surveyed ran Arch, 17% of those surveyed ran Manjaro. Now that's 30. That's 1/3 of the users, right? And you know, Steam originally was geared toward Ubuntu mainly, is what they were building around, and they built their Steam operating system around Debian. And it seems like nobody is really using those distributions for gaming.
I think with how far, like how much AMD has like advanced the past couple of years, it's like the drivers have to be so up to date that Debian, you can't do it on Debian. Like you just can't. And
on Debian
even
especially
Ubuntu.
no. On Ubuntu sometimes, but on Debian no.
Yeah, and the fact that you need the latest drivers, the latest kernel sometimes, and you just can't get that on a stable, crusty, static release distribution.
Yeah, I mean, like I was using like 5.4 before it even came out. Like the release candidates, because the performance was so much better, and like that's a nightmare on Ubuntu. You know what I mean? Like you can't do that on Ubuntu.
Yeah, Rocco in the chat, Big Daddy Linux, he says, "You know how you can play games on Debian?" I do. Install Arch. That's how you play games now. Debian's a great distribution. I actually used Debian Stable for a long time. Still love it on servers. Love Ubuntu actually on servers, the LTS versions of Ubuntu. I got a super chat there from Grayson in the chat. He says he runs a plain Debian server with KVM virtualization and LXC. I currently run SID. Okay. Yeah, Debian SID is probably the better option if you wanted to game. It's much more bleeding edge, much more kind of like Arch and Gentoo in its rolling model. Maybe not so bleeding edge as Arch. Arch, it seems like as soon as somebody packages something and it's available, it's in Arch. Like the next minute.
Oh yeah, see that's the thing. I wish I might be foolish, but I mean I have my time shifts set up to do every day and go back like 10 days because I've got plenty of storage right now. But I'm on Manjaro unstable, which is Arch, but it's just easier to it's easier to install. And then Manjaro's got stuff in the repo, like it's got a specific Steam build and it's got stuff in the repos that Arch doesn't have.
Yeah.
And
when I was an NVIDIA user, Manjaro made it dead simple to install the NVIDIA drivers. Yeah, it does a lot of extra stuff.
Good morning. How's my audio? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, good morning, Murray. We can hear you.
Yeah.
Good. I just installed Manjaro the other day, and it doesn't play well with dual boot. I had a Debian on it and installed Manjaro after it. It didn't ask anything about where to install the grub. And when it finished installing and rebooted, you couldn't find Manjaro on it. So
Manjaro grub is somewhat weird. So if you have any other distribution, you're basically not gonna make it work. Something about the grub settings.
I had four, like I was saying, I had 4 distros on my laptop, and I had Manjaro. Well, I had Manjaro first, but see, I noticed every time I would have to install one, what I would have to do is either click like no bootloader, or I would have the bootloader be like I would have to use EFI Boot Manager to always make sure, because like I would end up before I learned my lesson, I would have like 4 grubs, and it didn't know which one to boot, and I'd like boot into, and then I eventually went to Refind because it was just easier, you know what I mean? But before I got the grub figured out, I eventually realized that I just had to keep Manjaro's grub be the only grub I had, and whenever I would install a new distro, just go into the fstab and fix it, and just have it just go all off Manjaro.
Yeah, a lot of the installers, the graphical installers, don't do a good job explaining. Like a lot of them will have the screen where it says, do you want to just wipe out the whole disk, if you're installing one operating system, or do you want to manually create some partitions or install alongside another operating system? But they don't explain, maybe you shouldn't install grub on each and every partition you have. You're right.
I'm quite lucky with that.
Always manual.
Yeah.
Yeah, mainly partition, but the good thing about PC Linux OS is it has a bootloader repair kind of thing. So you just boot into PC Linux OS and you can just pick up every single OS that's on your drive. Because I've done that with Manjaro as well, when I've installed it after. It's written on my boot thing. It's given me PC Linux OS as an option. Booted into that and just routes it back. But that's on EFI, not on MBR.
Yeah, I always use EFI, so MBR is kind of a
Yeah, that,
anyway.
I don't know. I don't use MBR. That's the other thing. I use UEFI always.
MBR
The only
is
time I
so
use grub. Yeah, the only time I use MBR is for VirtualBox, basically. I just can't be bothered to
yeah, I use
sit that
MBR
little
if I
tip
do a
up, say,
version.
I even in VMs
Yeah.
use EFI. I use the
I do too. I do
VMF.
too. Well, I do too.
There is a problem with, but there is a problem with VirtualBox and DFI in that it's DV-ramming it. It doesn't always
Yeah.
remember where the file is. So you have to go in, type exit, and then find the file, then boot off that.
That's why I use KVM.
There is a
backup.
workaround, but
That's not.
I've been
I
looking
use
into that, actually,
KVM.
using KVM or QEMU or something like that.
KVM's the best.
Yeah, I've used KVM a bit in the past.
But I'm too lazy. VirtualBox just does it all for you, doesn't it? You got click yes, how much memory you can get done.
Yeah,
Same
Well,
as VMware, really.
Is
I've used
boxes
VirtualBox so
QEM
long. Yeah.
Is boxes, does Gnome boxes use QEMU? Is that what it uses
Mhm.
to like? Okay,
Yeah.
I was gonna say the only thing other than
Well,
virtual
they
Yeah,
use the
I think it does.
is boxes, and it's okay. It's a lot simpler.
Boxes
than
is a front
virtual.
end for is it libvirt that they
Last month I heard something about Manjaro might be using Snapper for their snaps and rollbacks, and I also heard just recently that's what OpenSUSE uses for their system and rollback. So it looks like if they do that, they'll be using ButterFS from OpenSUSE to do their what Ubuntu 1910 is doing on it, which would be, I don't know, mixed opinion about that. Anyway, I tried Endeavour OS, and you go to their website and said their November download is canceled on it.
Oh god.
It looks like they're
Right.
undermanned, and I can't see any purpose. Their spiel on it is to make it's an easier install than the traditional vanilla Arch, and you get that with Manjaro, and you get that with Arco Linux. So I can't see any purpose for Endeavour OS at the moment. Does anyone?
Yeah, people have been complaining a little bit about Endeavour OS, that it's, I guess the development is a little slower than what they'd like to see. They still haven't got that net installer going. I don't know.
They're undermanned, I think so.
Well, yeah, but most
Endeavour
are.
doesn't have a point. It's not that important or that good because it's Manjaro. There is Arco Linux, and there is no really big point for Endeavour OS since it came so late to the game. It's basically just a replacement for the old community that was there.
Yeah.
And
well,
that's it.
The thing that made Antergos, I guess, unique was that net installer. Where you, but people hated that installer. That's the thing. Like,
and if
I'm
you
not
actually
sure
want, you can make Manjaro use net installer, I believe. If you create your own ISA, it can use it can pull from internet, and even then, Manjaro's Architect Edition, it is actually a net installer. It is a little bit more involved, but it is still, it's just a menu you have to follow, nothing more.
It's like an Arch script. Like that Archify script, it's like that is what I've got. It's like the impression.
Just a bit better.
Yeah, it's a lot more polished, but yeah. That's what I actually used for this was to I installed the i3 but like I didn't get the i3 ISO. I used Architect to install my Manjaro i3.
Yeah, somebody in the chat was mentioning some audio levels. Yeah, it's weird. I've opened up Pulse Audio volume control 2 or 3 times during the stream, and the audio levels keep adjusting on me. Like, it's weird. I've never.
How loud do I sound?
Well,
how loud do I sound?
You sound good, but the problem is I'm not monitoring what the guys on YouTube are hearing. I'm not monitoring the stream. We're just hearing the Zoom audio.
You sound good, but the problem is I'm not monitoring what the guys on YouTube.
I got my microphone working. the headphones microphone working.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll keep playing with it and see.
Is it anything to do with Zoom chat, Derek?
I don't know. I've never noticed this before. Like I'm sitting here watching it, and the levels in Pulse Audio just drop by themselves. It's weird. I don't know. Not sure what is causing
Yeah, that's right. Rocco's just said the same thing in the chat. Have you checked the audio settings in Zoom for the automatic adjust audio?
Yeah, let me check
that. Is a pain in the backside.
See. All right, I probably have no audio now.
You do?
Just the bad one?
Yep.
All right, now I'm back to. Let's see.
That was rough.
Okay. Let's see how this works. Anyway, I'll keep playing with it and see what happens. It's just strange. I've never seen the audio levels just adjust on their own. Inside Pulse Audio volume control. That was weird.
No, thing is, I'm only monitoring through Zoom, so.
Yeah. But we've been talking for a few minutes now. Yeah. It looks like it's straight now, though. I don't see anything moving. That was very weird. It was almost like there was a ghost in the machine, and it was playing with my audio levels. Like you could see sliders moving, and I'm not touching anything. Yeah.
What is that noise?
That would be somebody trying to
Someone's
get their
getting
audio
some serious static.
Not me.
Hello, big pod.
He's playing with his audio settings now that I started playing with mine, is what it is. You know how it's like.
Yeah.
Once somebody starts playing with Pulse Audio volume control, everybody's got to pull up Pulse Audio volume control.
Mine's minimized to the taskbar. Mine ain't doing anything. I'm leaving it exactly where it is.
For me, sound of YouTube is great.
Yeah.
So I know.
Yeah, Big Daddy says, yeah, I bet Zoom is doing it. You're probably right, because once I set my Zoom audio settings to something else, a different audio input, and then set it back to the right audio input, everything's fine. That's weird how that fixed it. Yeah. Oh well. I still like Zoom though. For proprietary software, but the free and open source solutions out there just aren't this good, especially the video quality. Yeah.
Well, it's all handed off to the back end, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Using very little resources yourself.
I mean, that 1 week where I did an update and Zoom was acting up, we used Jitsi. It's okay, but you could tell video quality is not as good. Audio is not as good. This is just a better product. I never liked Hangouts, which is now dead. I don't like Skype at all. I would never use Skype.
Yeah, let's not go Skype.
Yeah.
Skype is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be the de facto for this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
When it was good, before Microsoft got hold of it.
Well, you know, speaking of Microsoft products, because, you know, it's been a month since we did one of these, Big Pod, are you going to use Edge when it comes to Linux?
Probably going to replace the Chromium I have installed. For no other reason, I like Microsoft more than Google.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I put Brave on my machines. I know it's Chrome based, but it just suits it better. But as for Edge, I'm gonna bake that into my ISOs and make it immutable, so you can't remove it.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. What were you saying there, Matt?
Oh, I was saying I use Brave. I use Brave and Firefox both.
Yeah.
There's some like Dish. I have a Dish Network account, and but I don't ever watch TV, and but I watch shows through Dish Anywhere on my browser. And since it uses Widevine or whatever, Firefox, it just does not work with. I know Netflix works on Firefox now in Linux, but it does not work with the Dish Network thing. So for certain things, I use Brave. Firefox is what I'm used to, but I like Brave. It's a lot better than Chrome for sure.
It's a lot faster than Chrome as well. In my personal opinion, it really is. It's faster than Firefox as well, to be fair. On my machine, I'm only going anecdotal.
Yeah, I use Chromium for the tasks that need Chromium and for testing websites and stuff like that.
I just started using Brave a few days ago, so I don't have much experience with it, but so far so good.
No, I quite like it. I must admit, I do quite like it.
Yeah.
I've got used to it now.
I've been a Firefox user since the beginning, so when I have to use something that's Chromium based, like we talked about Google Hangouts, that never worked on Firefox. I had Vivaldi installed just for Hangouts, but now that Hangouts is dead, I can't remember the last time I fired up Vivaldi. Speaking of Vivaldi, did you guys see the post that Vivaldi made a couple of days ago? Vivaldi, which is a proprietary company, put out a post telling people that are still on Windows 7, warning them end of life is coming and that they should switch to Linux.
Really?
Oh, very nice.
They made a post
well
about
done,
that.
Mr. Vivaldi.
Yeah, you can do a Google on that. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
That's excellent.
I wish they would have, focused a little more on the fact that the reason you might want to switch from Windows to Linux is, free and open source. But I guess being a proprietary company, maybe they couldn't go that route. But they were basically just saying, hey, you know what? Linux is just better than Windows. Have you taken a look
well,
at it?
It is anyway. It isn't. Big Daddy Linux says about pop-ups on Brave, but I've never had a pop-up on Brave. Never. So I don't know what the system pop-up is about.
I think he's talking about the people give you a donation through the Brave browser. Is that what he's? I've never used it myself.
I have that turned off. I have all that kind of stuff turned off.
It opts. You have to opt into it.
It is an option.
Yeah, but I would think. I mean, are the pop-ups handled by your desktop environment though, or is it actually inside the browser?
I think I might know what he's talking. I don't know. Like, I don't ever get pop-ups, like pop-up windows, but like, depending on which desktop environment I'm using, because like if I'm gaming, I use Deepin like desktop environment because it's just easier than fooling with i3 and like the Windows and all that. But like when I'm in i3, I use Dunst for like my notifications, and Brave is constantly like popping up notifications, and I don't know if that's what he's talking about, but I like.
Yeah, he just said no. So yeah.
That
do come from Brave. Give system pop-ups in Gnome. There's got to be a way of kicking that off, though.
If it's your system notifications, you could tick that off, or you could just turn off notifications altogether while you're streaming, if that's the problem. I posted a link to the blog post from the Vivaldi guys about why you should replace Windows 7 with Linux, and one of the things they talk about is performance, and the fact that you can run Linux on a much weaker machine than Windows 10.
Yeah, run it on a potato.
Right. Yeah, and then they, if you have problems picking a distribution, they say, well, one of the most popular is Ubuntu, so try that first if you don't know what you're doing. You want something a little more. And they said if you're looking for something a little more modern or if you're more adventurous, Solus might be a good place to start. Fair enough.
I don't know about that.
Well, they're going by their own personal experiences.
I mean, Solus is fine. I tried it for a while, but like, for one, I personally like Ubuntu Budgie's version of Budgie more than Solus's, which is weird. But like,
yeah, I do too.
The main thing is like EO packet, like their package management. Like I hate it, and I hate their repositories, and they're so small. And
the repositories,
are gonna want the most software. You know what I mean?
So Achilles' heel is the repositories.
Like if they're not gonna want to go to GitHub and compile stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
for example,
the most software. And I feel like a lot of the time when I was on Solus, they're just stuff I had to compile, which I never had to.
Like, I had the same problem. When I used Solus about a year and a half ago, I used it for about 3 or 4 months on one of my laptops, and I decided I was going to install Xmonad on it. and yeah, I couldn't find it in the repos at the time, or I couldn't find Xmobar, the panel for Xmonad. And it's like, well, what am I going to do? Well, I have to use Cabal, the package manager Cabal, which, pulls down these Haskell packages, or I have to build it from source. And it's like, man, if I'm going to do that, why don't I just run a source-based distribution if, all these programs I typically use, I got to build from source. The repos are just way too small.
Yeah, and people from Windows are going to see that, and they're going to be like, well, this is garbage. And then that's going to turn people away. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm surprised because most places it's like they'll suggest Manjaro. Or I think Arco Linux is like, I know you post
Arco
that video
would be
how
nice.
Arch is the best for a new user. I think like Arco Linux is like a really good because you learn a lot. You can learn as much as you want on Arco Linux. You know what I mean? Like even more than Manjaro, which I use Manjaro, but like I think Arco Linux is great for people to learn.
Yep. Like if you know nothing about Linux, you can install the main edition of Arco with XFCE, OpenBox, and i3 already pre-configured. The installer is just Calamares. You know a little more. You can do a little more with like Arco Linux D, Arco Linux B. If you want to do a command line install, well, you can do that too. Just like it has
your own ISO.
Right.
I tried KDE Neon, and I could only get that to work in Manjaro. I couldn't figure out how to get it done in Arco. You had to go to the what is it, Arco D or something, and then do a special configuration of that. That seemed like an awful lot of work for just to get the KDE Neon in.
Yeah. Arco Linux D is the one where you basically connect to their GitHub repositories and run the various scripts that you want to run.
So I chose Manjaro because I could get KDE on it without any trouble.
No, well, Manjaro does a great KDE Plasma out of the box. I mean, if you like Plasma anyway.
Wonderful. So. It is, yeah. It's perfect.
I mean, that's kind of originally when Manjaro started, they basically had two editions. They had XFCE and KDE, and those editions still are the flagship editions. I mean, they do some other nice stuff, but their XFCE and their KDE editions are just fantastic.
Honestly, I think, and I'm sure I'm biased, but like I think their versions of everything are like they do a great job of like i3. I think their Deepin version is better than Deepin's. Like, I think like their GNOME version is way better than like Ubuntu or Fedora.
Well, Fedora does a vanilla GNOME, so
like I don't really like XFCE, but MX Linux and Manjaro like have gorgeous XFCE versions.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of, you mentioned the community edition that they do with i3. Yeah, that's definitely the best i3 distro. It's not even close. No, Arco does a nice i3 edition. I've checked out some others, but Manjaro's i3 actually looks good. Like out of the box, you can kind of use it. The only thing I don't like about it is, and I know they do it because it's upstream, I hate that they still use JKL semicolon. Like, guys, just make an executive decision. I know the i3 guys don't agree with it, but move that thing over to HJKL. Like 90% of the users are going to change it to anyway. Just start there.
I never understood that there are arrow keys on the keyboard. Why use 4 keys?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, because I only switched to Linux in June, but I was like on i3 by like July. But like, so like I had never even used i3 before I ever used Vim at all, and I still hardly ever use Vim. I use it a little bit, but like I just use the arrow key. You know what I mean? Like like figuring out JKL semicolon or HJKL would be equally confusing for me.
And for example, I believe Emacs uses Control-C and Control-X for completely different
that's terrible
things. And they are used basically everywhere else.
Vim is easier than Emacs.
No, Emacs does a Control-N for next and Control-P for previous to move forward. To move it up and down.
I believe Emacs uses Control-C for something completely different than
copy. Yeah, it's not a copy command. Yeah,
basically everywhere else, including Mac, where things are always somewhat different, so no one understands. And it's still
Control-X. Control-X is not cut in Emacs. You hit Control-X and then you see a prompt at the bottom saying, okay, what's the next command you're going to enter? Control-X is like the prefix, for a bunch of other commands.
Wow, that's
Because you have
pretty.
two key bindings you have to hit in Emacs. It's never just one.
Come on, really?
Yeah.
The
You guys
stream is
saw me.
bloated.
Yeah, you guys saw me struggle with StumpWM. People were like, "Man, you didn't give that thing a chance." I was like, "Man, I played with it for like 2 or 3 weeks. Like an hour or two every day for a couple of weeks, just to get it to the point you guys saw it." Can you imagine what it was when I first installed it? So,
For real, like I moved to i3 because of your video on i3, and I saw that that looked like a nightmare. Like the Qtile, I tried Qtile because of you're during your like window manager project or whatever. But watching that StumpWM, like I'd go back to Windows before I use something like that.
Well, I knew people were trolling me a little bit with it. So ever since I started doing those tiling window managers like Qtile and i3, people were like, "Man, you got to check out Rat Poison," which for those of you that don't know, Rat Poison is an old tiling window manager that's got these crazy key bindings that nobody likes. StumpWM is like a modern version of Rat Poison. Basically the guy who created it in the same kind of vision as Rat Poison. So I already knew it was going to be crazy. I didn't know it was going to be that crazy, though. It was practically unusable.
You're quite lucky, actually, Matt, because when I started Linux, we had TWM.
Yeah.
That was fun.
You had the one that was built into X. What is that? Tom's Window Manager, TWM?
Yeah, Tom's Window Manager.
I looked at that one, too. Well, that was horrible. It's still horrible. I mean, you can still use it.
Wow. That teal green.
It's bad.
How'd you theme this? I don't know.
Well, it's like an emergency window manager. It's like if you get X installed, you can install Tom's Window Manager and at least have some graphical environment.
Yeah, even if it is just an external.
I was like, no, just give me the command line at that point. I'd rather use
it. Absolutely.
But then you can easily install OpenBox, so who cares?
1994, I believe, Big Daddy, I started Linux. It was Slackware, and you had to have 2 floppy disks, a boot floppy and a root floppy to get it up and running.
And you didn't have a lot of options in 1994. So
nope, you had plain X and you got on with it.
Yeah.
It was the days when you had the cross hatch for X as a root window instead of the black we get today.
I mean, Slackware and Debian started late in 93. I forget. They were like a month apart. I think Slackware was like October, in September and Debian was in October.
October.
Which is crazy that we still have those distributions, considering that thousands have come and gone, but those two.
Absolutely.
Still, yeah.
And now we have 200 distributions based on 6 systems.
Yeah. Well, you still have some independent.
DistroWatch. Yeah. There's still some independent, but you go through DistroWatch. The first 10 are all Ubuntu based in some way or another, or Debian based. And then you got some that are Arch based and then Slack based.
Yeah, it does seem like Debian kind of dominates the Linux world, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does a bit.
Yeah.
It's because it's easy to develop for, because when you're actually doing the deb files, they've got a nice little tool there that just does it for you. Package ad, I think it's called. PKG ad, is it? Something like that. And it just...
You're talking about DPKG?
Yeah, DPKG, but there's an actual DP an application, like a script, if you like, and you compile whatever it is you're compiling and then run this script and it just makes a deb file for you instantly with the spec file and all that. Really nice.
Yeah, it's interesting, Debian, too, how big it's grown, because it's all community, right? There's no corporation behind it. It's just a community-driven project.
That's right. It was just a husband and wife team at the start.
Yeah, at the very beginning. Also, a little history, when, the free software movement was still kind of early in its infancy. And even before open source, that term was used. Debian chose to call itself Debian GNU/Linux and promote itself as free software, really before anybody else was doing that. So they were promoting free software way before a lot of the other folks kind of jumped on that train.
DT.
Absolutely.
You said GNU/Linux on your on that what is 4chan posted
Yeah.
it. There was a comment with basically a picture or screenshot of someone. I don't know, it was actually Linus or not, telling Richard Stallman why Linux cannot be called GNU/Linux.
Yeah, but that was clearly a troll post because Linus doesn't care about any of that.
Basically, no, actually, I believe one time I know he said that no, Linux itself cannot be called GNU/Linux. There is no logic in it, and that if a distribution decides to call itself GNU/Linux, okay, but Linux as operating system, no, it isn't GNU/Linux, it's Linux.
Well,
Because
Big Pod,
logic.
I'd like to interject for a moment. What you're referring to as Linux is in fact GNU/. Okay.
No,
Yeah, let's do this properly now.
Because
let's pull up the copy pasta from 4chan, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's because even the kernel itself can technically be used as an operating system, and by most definitions, only except one, I know, Linux as a kernel is an operating system, and even if and there is a lot of options that you don't need to use the what's it called the GNU tool chain and or the userland tools, because anyway, even if it is, you don't need userland to make an operating system.
No,
Because
and Linus and the kernel team these days, I mean, they're developing the kernel mainly for Google and Android. I mean, let's be real.
No,
and that's what they're developing that kernel for.
No, not even close. Google maintains their own version of kernel for so long because it is so different, and even then, every developer of a phone, every creator of a phone like Samsung, Huawei,
they maintain their own kernel, but they're not developing it.
But didn't you all see that just a couple, like it's been all over the Linux news how Google wants to mainline it.
But they can't because there is so much blobs that you can basically everything from Snapdragon, Adreno, believe MediaTek, everything like that, everything is proprietary, and
Google owns the Linux Foundation. They're going to make this happen.
No, they won't. Problem is Snapdragon, what is it called, Qualcomm. They don't give, they won't allow to be inside mainline kernel.
No, you couldn't put it in the
all that.
Yeah, I mean some of the proprietary stuff. Yeah, you can't just throw it in the kernel, but you could have these
Android
extra modules.
Yeah, but Android will never actually use mainline kernel. There is some cross section, but a lot of all the stuff it's taken out and added the stuff for ARM.
Well, I think also Google eventually, with the popularity of Chrome OS, may just replace Android with Chrome OS at some point, and that's much closer to mainline Linux.
My opinion, if a whole industry of computing goes into ARM, yes, the Android-based kernel will be so much close to mainline kernel that it will be indistinguishable, just because ARM will be a thing. So it will be logical to add Qualcomm and MediaTek drivers in by default, because nobody will be able to use the damn thing. But otherwise, unless that's the thing.
As far as personal use goes, I think it will move to ARM, except for like the enthusiast market and like gamers. Like the desktop isn't going to die, but like laptops and stuff, I think in 10 years, I think it probably will be ARM, unless the RISC architecture or whatever takes off.
No, RISC-V. RISC-V.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember that ARM is a RISC processor in the first place. It was designed as a RISC instruction.
In my opinion, no, it won't happen. At least not a lot, because especially now that the what is it called, the x86 instruction set will go into open domain, it will be just basically a boom of everything, and there will be a lot more push in x86. The only way I see that we will see a change into ARM if people start abandoning x86 in development. So basically, developers of software start only developing for ARM, which I don't see happening because it's a reduced instruction set, and that is kind of hard to deal with many software. And
Not really, because
I mean, most people don't care though. I mean,
another
people,
That's what I mean.
people are
hear all
getting
the
rid
time
of their
from-
computers.
Yeah,
I mean, you only have to look at the Pine Book and how
Actually,
successful that's becoming to see how good ARM's getting. And a lot of ARM
there's also
processors
another
now
problem I hear all
are
the
running
time
around circles
from-
around a lot of the Intel stuff.
Yeah, but I hear I hear another problem that is a whole lot worse than anything. It's the whole developing an operating system for ARM, which means you have to develop an operating system specifically for that version of a device. That's what I heard from many who look into the ARM computers to have an operating system on there. That they need to specifically target specific device and make an operating system that works on specifically that device. It is coded for that device. That it has specifically variety. They cannot make it for wide variety of devices like they can on x86, and that's a big problem.
I think all this talk about Google and the kernel and the Linux Foundation especially, it just makes me want to give FreeBSD a serious look at some point.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah.
But actually, BSD is getting really quite good in some of the. I was going to call it distros, but that's the wrong word. But you got Ghost BSD and Midnight BSD and so on.
What will most Linux users run to, or the runaway users run to if people start using BSD? If, let's say Google starts investing to BSD, what will people then run to? It's many stuff. Just
we would have to run to a different Unix-based operating system.
Yeah.
I mean, what else is out there?
Open Solaris.
Indiana.
Yeah, I guess.
Open Solaris.
Open Indiana, right?
We could always go to Rust OS.
Then at the end, you could always go to make your own or something, because at the end of it, a lot of it is just run culture from major corporations, which is, in my opinion, just idiotic and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Do it if you want. Make your life harder. I don't care, but that's in my opinion counterproductive and makes it destroys one resource we can't get back: time, and specifically the time of that user.
Yeah, I guess for a Mac, a Unix-based operating system, I could try the Mac, but that's.
Oh God.
It's strange that I was thinking about that the other day. The three main operating systems, Windows is the odd one out.
Yeah.
Because Linux, well, okay, four main. We've got BSD, right, which is based on Unix. So all the command line is pretty much familiar to us. Linux, obviously familiar to us. Mac OS, you go into command line and that. It's BSD, familiar to us. All the commands are the same. Go to Windows.
Get into the shell,
yeah. Windows, nope. Has to be different.
To those who use DOS, Windows is quite familiar in command line.
For those that use DOS.
Thankfully, I didn't live in that timeline, so thanks God.
Wow. Am I back in the 80s? He said DOS.
I forgot DOS. 1993 once it's coming.
Actually, I remember listening to Microsoft developers, those who right now develop the Windows terminal, the new Windows terminal, and were developing the command line application, command prompt. They said that much of the code, they didn't even know what it serves. Basically, the developers who were there before said, this is load bearing. Leave it. Don't change it. And we don't know what it is. And they even said that the whole command prompt they cannot change, so it can work the applications from DOS days, or at least scripts from the DOS days. They cannot change command prompts at all because it is basically a port of DOS into Windows. And it's so
that's because there's money involved. That's the great thing about community operating systems. Well, we were talking about things like Debian and Slackware, is they don't care. They break compatibility when it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Where a company wants to have this legacy.
Remember Ubuntu? What happened with Ubuntu and breaking legacy, breaking compatibility? Basically, the whole world gone crazy. A whole Linux world gone crazy.
Yeah.
Even
well,
though
also
I was for it.
Yeah. Ubuntu also has the added problem is that they're based on Debian, which is, again, a community project. So once Debian starts dropping some of that stuff, Ubuntu, unless they're going to maintain it themselves, they've got to drop it as well.
We'll have to, but then again, we will have a riot on our hands because the people will start rioting against Debian. So
it's kind of like the System D debate. So many people were anti-System D. So, when Debian decided they're moving to System D, I hate Debian. I'm not going to use it because of System D. I hope Ubuntu doesn't go to System D. Well, Ubuntu's not going to keep maintaining their own init system. They just went the same thing with Arch. Arch had the same problem. A lot of people wanted to abandon Arch when it moved to System D. It's just...
But doesn't Arch give you a choice, sir?
No,
system.
Arch, mainline Arch. System D is installed by default when you do the installation.
On Gentoo, you can run System D. That's actually what I run. On Gentoo, on my Gentoo VM on the server, I have System D installed instead of.
Wow. On Gentoo,
regarding
instead of OpenRC.
I like System D. I'm not changing it.
You should go post that on the Gentoo forums. Let them know that you installed System D.
I am the single user of Gentoo that uses System D.
It is an official option, and it's officially described in their wiki and even in the handbook how to switch to System D, because it's basically just a single command line switch.
Is that under the masochist heading?
No, it's in. Basically, just you change the profile from normal to System D.
I think MX Linux actually has that right, because you have a choice. You can either boot into SysB or System D, depending on how you feel. And then for anything that does use System D, it uses like a shim.
I think some of that is because they work so closely with Antix. Antix is still SysV.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I don't understand why are people so resistant to System D. It works.
I think it's ridiculous.
Let me count the ways.
Here we go.
Let me count the ways why I'm resistant to System D. It's because I'm an old Linux user that I do reject System D. The new people that come in don't know any better, so fair enough. But the older chaps, the greybeards like me.
Well, not all of us started if you started in 94 on Slackware, you're going to hate System D. Right?
Absolutely right. Yes, Slackware is great. I still like Slackware.
And they're still running SysV, their own kind of customized.
It is running on SysV.
System D has its tentacles into everything. It has containers, has cron jobs. It's just.
Well, it is bloated that way. I mean, to say that System D is a great operating system, needing a good init system.
Yeah,
but it works really well. Everything I threw at it never fails.
I can make System D fail on command, not a problem. I can make that thing just choke off easily. And when you try to shut down, it says it's waiting for this process to end. One of 200 hours. I'm going, you're getting the power off, you are.
I know a couple system admins. They said that waiting that's one of the good things about System D, that it doesn't stop the application if it's working. If
my main problem with System D
exit, it will work. It won't shut down. That's one of the great.
It's not just a shutdown. It's when it's starting up and it does it because it's waiting for something to happen, but it can't parallel past it.
That's
to open up other services. That is a
That's
Dang.
actually.
I don't have that issue when I start up. My computer boots up in 3.5 seconds, like for real.
Mine as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Mine's around 4 seconds.
Mainly
But I'm on 6 speed
why
parallel
that
route.
happens, why that waiting for startup happens, it's because either there is something wrong with files itself, or if there is something wrong with dependency. And system one of the reasons systemd waits for that is because it is that particularly made so it actually will start everything up, otherwise it will lock up. And that's
Yeah,
why
I don't have a problem with the startup.
people
I have
like
a problem when I shut down the machine and it makes me wait 90 seconds. It's like,
that's
Yeah,
why-
that's what I mean. Waits 9 seconds for something to end.
because
System B
if
goes,
you don't
listen,
have
if you're not finished,
police
shame, you're
data.
getting shut down, boy. Kill all done. Kill 9. Bye-bye.
you know, I just hold the power button these days. If I know
my
systemd is
system-
going to make me
so-
wait.
My Arch shuts down right away. Basically,
Yeah.
it goes through it stops all the services, and that's it.
My problem with systemd is not the init system itself. It's some of the other projects that depend on systemd. It's like you no longer have a choice of a init system on some things. Like
Yeah, that's true.
Gnome,
Like, no.
Gnome is so tied to systemd, they basically force you to use a systemd
That's,
distro now.
That's okay. We understand why.
That's why I don't have That's why I don't have Gnome on any of my
But
repos.
you should understand that that's mainly because people are these developers need to then implement 5 different versions of what of init system code behind for different init systems. That isn't logical. They use what is most used. And for Gnome specifically, it is mainly developed nowadays by people supported by Red Hat. Same with systemd.
There's nothing that they don't need to worry about what the init system is on the system.
No.
The Gnome guys shouldn't even worry
No,
about
because
that.
other desktop environments,
they don't care.
I
Yeah, you
bet
can run it.
right now.
I believe there is code that uses that needs that, but I'm not. I forgot. I was
And they
actually
should remove that
looking
code.
at this.
That's my
No,
point. Is
no,
they
you're
don't
right.
need
necessary.
it.
No, you're
It is
absolutely right.
necessary
Yeah.
for some things.
Because
probably
you got other distros in that can't use Gnome, like Linux OS, Debian, Nopix.
There's stuff that probably requires that. Same with why snaps do it. Snaps right now do have, but that's because
They have the
Yes,
snapd
see, I don't
daemon.
even understand why a package man. Yeah, I don't understand why. Snapd uses systemd
because
it's only a package. Install at the end of the day.
No,
it just installs files to your hard drive. That's all it does.
No.
It doesn't do anything really different from a repo.
Yes, it does. That I've been doing.
Yeah, it does because they've designed it as.
Yeah, but
it does because the programmers have designed it as such, but they didn't need to go down that road.
They had to actually.
Why?
Because otherwise you couldn't manage services. Because the whole system.
Why?
Snap, the containerization of Snap doesn't allow the init system of what you have on computer access to the things. So they made a part of the snapd or whatever how they do it to start up services, and they are but
that's what I'm saying.
Files, and they create files somehow, and which you couldn't by hand do it, and that's a problematic thing. And without that, you couldn't even run services as snaps. So basically, for example, Nextcloud.
Yes, because that's the way they programmed. Because if you install something go through Synaptic, say you install Cups.
Yeah.
Cups needs to run a service, right? Now, Cups from a repo.
Yeah, but that's not containerized.
Service from
that's not containerized. That's what I'm talking about. It's
right.
Not containerized.
Right. Okay.
The containerization is the problem here. That how containerization works. They need to create specific things and then start correctly and all that, and make it work to be startable. And so basically doing research and programming five different init systems would be problematic and could actually make whole system worse and more unstable. That I know because I was doing a couple of programs that was making steps, so I had a lot of time doing it.
Well, this was a riveting discussion on init systems. I know the chat.
Sorry
was
about
really
that, people in the chat.
From snaps.
Like it's such a heated discussion.
And that's all in good fun, Derek. It's all in good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
This one is
Devil's
talking about
advocate.
AI.
Because you know, I don't use Stadia at all. If I can help it, I just find it pointless. Like I find snaps and pointless because that's what the repos are for.
yeah, I don't mind systemd itself. I do think it tries to do a little too much, but again, the only thing that bothers me is things that are just too tied to it that you
But
can't
that
run
is
another.
systemd fault. That's the fault of application developers that use
Yeah,
systemd.
I'm aware of that. Like I said, I have no problems with
So-
systemd. I have a problem with the things outside of systemd. Yeah.
This is basically like blaming the gun. Blaming.
Yeah.
It's not blaming the guy who shot the gun.
Hmm.
It's blaming the tool itself. And this is the same here. You're blaming systemd for something that is simply just used for.
Not me. I said
not logical.
I'm blaming the folks outside of systemd. I like systemd.
But most
Yeah,
I mean, I
guys-
don't like it. It's okay. I run systemd. But I think those other projects are the problem.
It
It's
needs
Gnome.
improvements.
It's really Gnome I'm complaining about, Big Pod. It's not systemd. But I didn't want to come out and say that openly because I've been accused of being a Gnome hater. But you guys forced me to say it. I didn't want to say it, right?
Not known for myself, to be honest. Or Gnome.
I
as
don't
we
like
to call
I
them.
don't like GNOME.
I can't
Well,
use it.
Nah.
It's unusable for me.
I
It's-
can use it.
You have to modify it so much for it to be usable and for it to look good that there's no point in using GNOME at that point.
Right.
Oh yeah, there is. Works well enough.
I'm not even going to bother trying to answer that one. What
Yeah,
is
thanks for the
forward
super
from
chat
you?
there, Alex. Yeah.
Thanks for the super chat, but I don't fancy answering that.
Yeah, we could come
If
up with
anybody thinks that Trump would be in support of free software, then they don't really know.
Yeah, but I don't know what company he would be in bed with. As far as a technology company.
I don't think. Well, they have. It's like a well-known meme that he like does not know how to computer. Like I don't like. There's
Most
this one-
politicians don't. Yeah.
There's this
I've
one
seen-
picture.
I'm just imagining to have shoelaces, to be honest.
He's
There's this one
actually-
picture of him looking at a computer like it's gonna eat his. Like he like has never seen one before. Well, I
He's
mean, you got to
actually
think
pretty
he's been
smart.
rich, so rich his whole life. Like he's probably never
Ah.
even had to. You know what I mean? Like
He's actually really smart. He's a really good businessman. We cannot forget that.
Right.
As far
Yeah,
as
right.
technology,
Uh-huh.
a lot of politicians have absolutely no idea half the stuff they talk about. If you've
That's
ever watched
because
like
they're
congressional
all
meetings,
farts.
I mean, they don't even
They're
know
super
what they're
old.
talking about half the time when they have these hearings,
That's
you
the
know, and
problem.
things. Yeah.
You guys vote only old people, and that's a problem for technology. And it will create a lot.
Well,
of
you have to
problems.
be old to run is the problem. You can't
Yeah.
vote young people into these positions. It's yeah.
Seriously.
But
Seriously.
it's an experience, a life
you have
experience.
to be 35 to
why
be
I-
president.
That's
Wow.
right. Because of life experience, really.
Here
You
you
can't
can
really
be
have young
like
people
something
into
like
stuff.
18 to even be a president.
Yeah.
Basically, you just need to be 18, so you're
You can be
officially
anything
adult.
else. You can get elected to anything else on like as long as you're over 18. But to be president, you have to be 35.
35. But it's because of life choices up to that age, you see. You get experience of life. But Trump's smart? No.
Yeah.
He really isn't.
Ah, you
I
only
think he
see-
trolls. I think he trolls a lot of people.
You only see
He does
him as
actually.
media
He does
presence.
actually get it.
He
He does troll a
absolutely-
lot of
he's
people. And a lot of
absolutely
people fall for it. And that's
His
fair enough. He
presidential
does.
campaign, like there's been a
But,
whole bunch of like in-depth articles done, like in-depth like journalism about whether or not Trump ever wanted to be president and like whether he started his campaign just because somebody insulted him at like the correspondence dinner during Obama's presidency and they laughed at him, so he decided to troll everybody and run for president, and then he won like on accident.
Yeah,
Now he's got-
accidentally.
now he's
right.
got- be president.
Also, we should understand that how media presents him is maybe not how it is in reality. should understand that most media is against him. So
we've seen this though with
media
other folks that have
representation
run
could
for.
be
Yeah.
bad.
We've seen people elected to positions that I'm not sure they originally wanted. It just, you know, momentum built. We had a professional wrestler elected as the governor of Minnesota. I mean, did Jesse the Body, did he really want to be governor of Minnesota? Right. I seriously doubt he did.
Arnold
Schwarzenegger was governor of California, but I think he really wanted, like he was a little bit more politically involved. I mean, you see strange things.
Here we have a comedian as a president.
Yeah.
we have a Saturday Night Live writer as a senator. Al Franken.
Yeah, that's true.
I forgot about Al Franken. Yeah.
Basically,
he's had to be quiet for a bit, isn't he, Al Franken?
Ukraine has as well a comedian as a president. But I remember
Italy had a porn star as a member of parliament.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I remember our
sounds good to me.
Right.
If comedian will become
what's her name?
A president.
Yeah,
and we found out that Slovenian politics became a big joke.
That's true, Big Daddy. We have Ronald Reagan is one, and actually that became president, of course.
Have you guys heard? Because I haven't read up too much on it, but I know private internet access was recently bought
out,
by a new company.
That
and
company
the only reason
has
go ahead.
A long-standing past of adware, but it hasn't happened in the recent past, so we should wait what will happen. We shouldn't just pass out.
I don't use PIA, so it's not
Me neither.
The reason I bring it up is because I do have a Discord channel over on the Freenode network. I don't know if most people know this, but Freenode, I think, is owned by private internet access.
No, I believe now they actually endorse PIA, but I'm not sure if it's owned.
Yeah,
but we should.
They have some kind of relationship. Yeah, I think they more than just endorse it. They've got a closer relationship than that with it. I'm not sure on the details.
I know Titus went crazy on that,
but he goes crazy on anything.
Yeah.
Like Ubuntu is devil.
No. Yeah, I've never been a PIA user, so it's not an issue with me. So
I don't use VPNs for that purpose. I use it for what it was actually made for, accessing my network from long locations like school.
Freenode PIA is a server sponsor for the Freenode network, and they said that this does not affect their agreement at all.
Many people said that stuff like purchases won't affect their services, but things change.
But yeah, they're not owned by them, but I guess they have a server sponsorship for the next 6 months regardless. Like that's already set.
And what was weird about this, again, I don't use private internet access, but I do know people that do said they could never access IRC on Freenode because it was blocked in some way, even though they sponsor Freenode. It was like people had problem accessing the network if they were using PIA.
That's weird because PIA basically they have, if you want to be secure on our IRC, use PIA. That was basically a thing they had on all of Freenode, so you can mask IP.
Right.
I don't use VPNs for what most people use it nowadays.
Another super chat there from Alex. Yeah, VPNs plus the Pirate Bay equals heart. Yeah. Well,
I don't endorse Pirate Bay.
That's a name I haven't heard in forever. It's
me too.
Right, Pirate Bay. That's a blast from the past. Yeah.
So will we be talking about other stuff soon?
Do you have any topics
from the
for us
past
to discuss? that are not past topics or related to them. Maybe something happened in Linux world.
You were asking me. I'm sorry. No, I had nothing else to discuss in the Linux world. I was still thinking about the Pirate Bay and Alex's super chat. We're good. I appreciate the super chats, Alex, but yeah, like he might get us demonetized talking about the Pirate Bay. Don't be surprised after the stream if the stream's not here. All right.
So I got a question about YouTube and their policies. I'm up in Canada. It's legal to smoke pot up here.
Yeah.
So if I was on video there smoking pot, would YouTube demonetize you or kick you out or what?
Yes.
What?
Yes, because
you have to. It doesn't have to be illegal.
World. Yeah, they have to consider the whole world, not just your country. So
plus, like, cursing is legal. Cursing is legal pretty much anywhere. But if you curse a bunch, then you'll get demonetized.
Yeah, but that's advertiser hate. But pot, for example, it's clearly actually against laws of certain countries or in American states.
There's a lot of things that are legal, but if you do it on camera, Google's advertisers are going to get mad at them. So Google can't allow you to.
Who pay Google will get mad, and or that means no ads for you. But specifically in stuff that are in certain countries illegal, those should understand that they cannot put advertisements on because that's clearly breaking law in certain countries.
As far as smoking weed on camera, if it's legal where you're doing it, you could probably post that video on YouTube, but there's no way it would be monetized. I can tell you that right now. And you would have to click the box that says this video is not intended for kids.
Yeah, and
I have that box ticked for every video.
Yeah, I do too. I just
I done a 5-hour live stream last week, and I did use some language in that just to say, nah, no kids are watching this.
Whenever I curse on a video, I always after that say, sorry, Google.
Sorry, Google.
I don't. I don't.
I'm not sorry.
I'm not sorry whatsoever.
It is meant as a joke, but yeah.
I don't get monetized anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm not monetized as well, so
I'm not monetized.
It is a joke. But I'm sorry to Google for cursing.
I had a video demonetized the other day, which was weird because I haven't had one demonetized in a while. It seemed like I got over that.
I guess it was the 4chan one.
You guessed it right. Absolutely.
Oh, for mentioning 4chan.
By having 4chan in the title, I guess. Or whatever. Yep, absolutely. That is the one. I was like, are you serious? By the way, I was kind of shocked that Big Pod was on 4chan when I posted that thread. Big Pod was over there posting in it. Like, really?
Yeah. Just for you, my friend. Just for you.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
He seems like he would hang out there, doesn't he? He seems like that kind of crowd.
He's a 4chan user, yeah.
No, actually, that's
when you look up 4chan on... Yeah, when we look up 4chan on Google, we'll see your photograph right next to it.
That's been actually the first time I was ever on 4chan.
That's who they based
me too, Big Pod. That was my first time.
Big Pod.
Yeah, it's a big heart in the middle with Big Pod in the middle. Unfortunately,
and now it's probably been the last time I will ever be on 4chan. So that was all for you, my friend.
Yeah. Well, yeah. 4chan tells you a lot about the kind of people that hang out there. When you go to G, which is the technology forum, and the sticky post at the top is that picture of Jesus Stallman. You know, Stallman is Jesus. Okay. This is a different kind of crowd here.
And you understand that you should promptly get the hell away from it.
Absolutely. You have to be a certain type of person.
Oh, I think we had a pretty productive thread over there, though. I think that went a lot better than it would have went on Reddit. Just throwing that out there.
Probably.
And people thought I was joking when I mentioned that at the beginning of the video. I was like, watch this. Within 10, 15 minutes, I had, probably 50 comments and 40 of them were actually good comments.
In
And,
many
you know,
cases, Reddit is also I heard worse than 4chan.
I think
certain-
it depends on the sub. Like
it does. Yeah.
Unix porn is great. And like, you know, r/Linux and r/Linux gaming, I think all those are fun. Like I've not seen much toxicity unless you bring up something like I posted a thread in Linux gaming the other day about Stadia, and
Great.
it got kind of ugly.
Great topic. Great topic.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up in a Linux forum.
I have a
Well, I like
question.
because people were when Stadia got announced, everybody in all the threads were talking about not
Stadia,
everybody.
Stadia,
There was a
Stadia.
lot of people saying, "Oh, this is going to bring so many native games to Linux," and people were like, "No, it's not at
How?
all."
Yeah, how?
And after Stadia like bombed, I went back and I was like, "So you guys still think that it's going to bring a bunch of games or whatever?" And you know, half the people there were like telling me that those people that were saying that didn't even exist. And I was
Yeah.
like trying to show them like thread after thread after thread of people saying like coming up with all these mental gymnastics of why it was going to bring more games to Linux.
Did any of you guys buy a Stadia controller? Or?
Rocco did.
Okay.
I believe Rocco did.
Yeah, Rocco was, yeah.
Yeah,
Rocco
I saw him.
showing it off last night.
Yeah,
I have a
saw him
question for
streaming a little
Rocco. Why the hell did you stream Stadia?
It's the hot topic. I mean, everybody wants to
Yes,
see if
yeah.
it actually works. It looked good. What I saw, I watched a few minutes of his stream last night.
There's a lot of criticism over Stadia, over the games not being able to do the 4K 60 they promised and all that kind of business.
Come on. 4K 60 or internet. Come on.
Yeah, I mean that's
well, You can get
streaming a
Netflix
game
over
with those
4K,
kinds of
can't you?
settings would be crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would.
Most of the
But yeah,
games
there's
are
been a lot of
upscaled
complaints over
anyway.
it.
They're not even native 4K if you can get it. And plus, you're going to need like 100 megabyte a second internet at least. Which
Oh, absolutely.
some people think that that's like everywhere. Like I'm on like 15 megabits a second, and if I want to go up to 100, it's going to cost me like $180 a month.
Whoa.
I envy you.
Whoa.
I've got 5 megabit down at most. 5 megabit down.
Like I'm
And
so
in
like,
Kentucky, so
I can go to gigabit down for like 10 euros a month more.
see
On
Eastern
fiber.
Kentucky,
I
like where I'm
wish.
at, there's one we don't have either like you can go with fiber or DSL or broadband. Like no, we have one broadband provider. AT&T
Where are you?
doesn't come here. We don't have DSL. We don't have fiber. There's nothing. There is no. It's a monopoly.
Where are you?
Eastern Kentucky.
Oh, it's in Kentucky. Okay. I'm in Canada. I'm paying $78 a month for 100 megabit.
I
Now,
believe
see, if I live 10 miles down the road, when I lived 10 miles down the road in the same city, but just within city limits instead of right outside city limits, I had Suddenlink, and there I got 150 megabits for $50 a month. Here for 60, I get 10.
yeah.
Like
Wow.
literally. I'm not even exaggerating.
Since I have fiber to the home, I can for $10 more
Ooh.
have gigabit down internet for $10 basically.
The
10
closest
euros.
fiber to here is 2 hours away.
I live a couple of kilometers from the city here, so I have fiber, and I can, if I want, I can go from 50 20 I have now to gigabit if I want. For
People don't understand really how bad America's like internet
It sucks.
infrastructure is.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
really
on
bad.
Comcast. I use Comcast and I hate it. Yeah, everybody complains. It's just
Well, it's so they're like everybody's got
there's not
like
much
we have a
option.
legalized monopoly here
yeah.
where you don't have to have more. Like you can only have one of a certain type. Like there can only be one cable provider in an area. Like
Yeah, that's
you
all
can
I
have-
have.
you can
I have
have-
no options. I can't drop them.
you
Yeah, I
can
can't
have
move to
cable
anything else.
or DSL.
I have a state, I have a country-owned ISP, so I'm at the best I can be.
Hmm.
So
No, we have a choice here. We
in
got
my
about 50 or
area, I
60
have like
ISPs.
I'd rather live in
5 or
Estonia
6.
where they have free high-speed internet everywhere.
I believe here I can have like 5-6 providers, either through copper or fiber, even through air. If it's altogether 6 plus the mobile phone providers, each one can provide you LTE internet for computers, but I use a country-owned ISP, which is probably the best one there is in my country.
But see, the United States is so big and spread out, you just can't do that.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's about 50 or 60 ISPs here, and about 6 or 7 mobile providers.
I believe here we have like 5 mobile providers and I believe 6 ISPs for internet ISPs.
We're about to only have what, DT? 3?
Saturation.
Didn't who'd T-Mobile merge with? Sprint?
With Sprint, yeah.
Yeah, they just need more towers. I mean, the T-Mobile was they just were too small to compete.
So we're only going to have what, 3, right? AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint.
Yep.
Because all the other ones, like Metro, the smaller ones use they're just basically the other, like
the smaller ones use the bigger ones towers. They've got no choice.
Yeah,
right.
They just rent the lines.
Right. Yeah. So somebody was asking, would I have any plans of trying the new T-Mobile 5G? I use Verizon here because where I'm at, T-Mobile service, at least in the past, has been pretty much non-existent.
Yeah, T-Mobile's pretty bad here. You got to have either Verizon or Appalachian Wireless, which uses AT&T's towers.
Mm-hmm. All right,
it's gone quiet.
Yeah.
Next subject, please. Anybody from the chat wants to talk about something?
Oh, don't ask the chat because then Alex is gonna.
I just ordered a
processor. This is gonna start debating there.
And here we go back to what we used to talk about.
Yeah.
I just ordered a processor an hour ago.
Awesome.
Which kind?
2600X.
What AMD?
On this new build like that I finished last month. See, I'm pretty broke, so like I had to do it a little bit at a time. But see, now a graphics card was not in the cards for me, but I had to have a computer, and my laptop was like taped together and just dying. So I got the 3200G and the motherboard on Newegg for like $120, which like that's a pretty good deal. And it was better than the Micro Center bundle actually, but see, 3 weeks later, I found 580 on eBay with stock BIOS and like all the stuff's guaranteed by the eBay money back guarantee. If it didn't come with a stock BIOS and if it didn't work, then I could have returned it, And it was only $85 for an RX 580, which is a pretty good deal. And it was one of the XFX like factory overclocked ones. So I was able to get a graphics card. So I don't want to be stuck with the 3200G, But the 2600 non-X is usually like $115, and for Black Friday, which it's still going on right now.
I was going to ask you, was this a Black Friday deal? Okay.
Yeah, they had the 2600X for $119. So for $4 more than what the 2600 goes for, I was able to get the 2600X. So I ordered it like literally the same. I was pressing the order through when I got the notification for your stream. So hopefully I'll have that on Tuesday. So I'm pretty pumped about it. Like these processors are crazy.
Yeah. So I had to work Black Friday, working in retail, of course. So I went to work at 10 o'clock on Thursday, 10 p.m. that evening on Thanksgiving, and worked till 6 a.m. on Friday. I worked like an overnight shift because we opened on Thanksgiving at 2 o'clock. And stayed open all night into Friday until we closed 10 o'clock in the evening on Friday. And I drew the short straw and had to do that graveyard shift. So,
were there a bunch of people?
No, not in the middle of the night. There was more than you would think, because you would assume at like 3 or 4 in the morning it would just be dead. There were people, but it wasn't busy.
Maybe you would get some customers, Walking Dead customers.
Yeah.
I bought
Well,
a
we hired a private security guard too to work overnight just in case there was
Just
anything
in case.
strange going on. Yeah.
I think the Black Friday stuff here is crazy. Like, it's just so crazy how insane people get over that.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
Cyber Monday overdo. Like, I feel like that's going to be a thing in the past, though. Hopefully.
Soon. Yeah. I think
Here
a lot of the.
prices
Yeah.
on
Go
Black
ahead.
Friday are really bad. I know in America you have like great deals on Black Friday. Here prices are basically the same, and they say they have big price drops, but there is, if you look at history, there is no actual drop in price. They just before the week before they raise price for like 50%, then lower it back down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, these
What they
big
do over
retailers.
here is a Black Friday, and the big retailers will just, it's the end of line stock is what they're getting rid of cheap. That's what they're doing. All the stuff that's loading up the warehouses, ship that out.
Here
Well, they plan on,
basically-
like the big retailers, they plan on doing like a third of their business for the year.
Yeah.
Really in that last month of the
Oh,
year.
yeah.
You know,
Here-
from
there are a few companies that do it like it's done in America, but those are mainly companies that are actually they're actually based in America normally, so they have more of that culture, and those basically do really good on Black Friday. But
Mhm.
most companies here, most retailers here have deals that are basically same as normal. Just before that, they raise the prices to be as high. So
That's a lot of places do that here.
Yeah.
They rate like
Mhm.
beginning of November is the worst time of the year to buy anything because they're going to raise the prices a little bit and then they're going to drop them. But I've been watching like that. Honestly, like I lucked out because I've been watching the prices because I was deciding between like a 2600 or a 3600 or 2600X or saving up for a 3600, blah, blah, blah. The past 2 months, the 2600X has been $180, like not like consistently. And, you know, I got it for like $60 less than that. So, but a lot like the big, like the new stuff, like a 3600 or like a RTX 2080 or something, they will raise the prices $50 and then drop them 70. So you're only getting like $20 off, like, you know, what it was.
I bought a used computer recently online. It was an interesting experience. I fished around for one of these small form factors off lease computers, Core i5, and I found one on Best Buy up here in Canada, $238. You go to check it out, it's $40 shipping and then $15 tax. So I looked around and I found the equivalent one at Amazon, $224. No shipping because I've got Prime, and no tax. So I'm curious as to how Amazon can get by without having to collect tax. I find a lot
I
of
think
stuff.
It's included.
They get ready by not paying it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
No,
here in the
I'm-
U.S., the way they do it is if Amazon has any of their buildings actually located in the state you're in, like if they have a fulfillment center or something located in that state, then they have to charge you sales tax. But if they don't, then they don't. I think that's how they get around some of that.
Well, and I think I think a lot of places that to simplify the and like some other stores do this just to simplify the pricing, they will say like it'll say the price, it'll just be the total price with no tax added, but they're paying sales tax. They're just taking it out of the price they're giving you. You know what I mean? Like
That's
but now I don't know how that goes with like when you ordered it from Canada. I don't know if you ordered it from like Amazon.ca and like it came from
Yes.
Canada or if it was shit like and see like I don't know what your all sales tax is. But and I would imagine it's probably federal, not provincial, or what. I don't know how you guys do it.
Sometimes it's both. You get both. Sometimes you get both. Sometimes you get one. Sometimes you get nothing.
But yeah, like they probably would have taken like if you paid $225 for it, it was probably they're probably invoicing it on their thing for $220 and charging you $5. I know it's not $5. You know that would be like a 2.5% tax rate, but whatever whatever the number is. And they're just charging and they're just taking the tax out of that because they make so much money, it's ungodly. Like
the other thing is that Amazon started shipping themselves. and used to be UPS or FedEx or Canada Post, but now they do it, and they ship on weekends now, where the others don't. So you can get it in 2 days. So with that Prime and the 2-day shipping, and with Prime you get a 10-day no questions asked guarantee. So I bought a used computer with a 10-day guarantee on it for a return with any reason at all. So I don't see how companies like Best Buy or other ones are going to compete with that.
Well, that's the problem. Speaking of, Black Friday is not what it used to be when you go to these mainstream big box retailers. Amazon, it is doing big things, obviously, on the internet, but some other big retailers have adapted. Walmart has a strong online presence, as well as having a bazillion stores everywhere.
That's where Target. I got that processor, was Walmart.
Yeah. But most of your traditional retailers, like 90% of them, are struggling. Most of them are starting to lose money now. A lot of them are going out of business. Your traditional mall shopping experiences are dying because people don't shop at malls anymore. Everybody shops online.
Yeah. Well, they'll go to the mall just to test something, then buy it online anyway.
Yeah.
My mall is just across the street. Half the stores are shuttered in the mall.
I mean, we lost Kmart and Sears a few years back, and soon it looks like we're probably going to lose things like Macy's, JCPenney, Kohl's, Dillard's. I mean, they're just
Circuit
all
City.
of them. Yeah.
Circuit City.
Well, Circuit City's already gone, because Best Buy ran them out.
Best Buy actually has some good deals, and I don't know how that, because like with my build, I bought my case from Best Buy and the power supply from Best Buy, but see what they're doing is they're like Google Shopping. Best Buy is a Google Shopping outlet, so you can just do it through Google, and you can get like discounts and stuff through Google, and not even have to go and I think that's one of the reasons why they're able to keep up a little bit with Amazon. Because they're moving more towards just like an online Amazon type.
Yeah. And I've ordered online at Best Buy plenty of times. Yeah, they actually have a pretty good online store.
Yeah, I was shocked. And it was UPS. My stuff came within like 2 days, and it was,
where Best Buy gets it right too, and they have a built-in advantage. It's because they sell appliances, and they have the Geek Squad and the trucks and everything that bring the washing machine or whatever it was, your refrigerator, and install it for you and deliver it. And that's something not a lot of other retailers are doing these days.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Amazon. You're stuck on your own. But they do have, like he was saying, they have really good return policies, which is nice, because ordering online, you never know. Like, I know Newegg people have had really varying experiences trying to RMA stuff with Newegg.
Yeah. I've returned stuff to Amazon plenty of times.
Yeah, Amazon is easy.
And Best Buy, I mean, I have a local store. I would assume you could just return it to a store rather than shipping it. I don't know. I'd be shocked if you couldn't. Most places that have online shopping also let you return it in store.
I know Walmart. Yeah, I was going to say, I know Walmart. I mean, you have your receipt. You can just go to the local one. It doesn't matter. They don't even have to sell. That Walmart doesn't have to sell the item that so I would imagine Best Buy is probably the same thing.
Yeah. Well, all these places that have online shops, they sell a lot more than what they actually carry in store, because being on the internet, you can sell practically everything. You can find stuff on Best Buy's site that you will never see in a store because it's not profitable for them to spend that retail space selling something that nobody's really that interested in. But on the internet, you can sell everything.
One of the dealers in Amazon was commenting that there's no more relationship between the dealer and the consumer now. It's just you go for reviews and price, and you buy it that way. I have no idea who is shipping me the products that I buy. And I think that's true for most people now too.
Thanks for the super chat, Mr. GFY. It says, check out GeckoOS 6502. I've never heard of that. What is GeckoOS?
I imagine for the 6502 processor, so that'll be like the C64 and so on.
It's an experimental operating system, for the 6502 and compatible processors.
There you go.
All right.
Very cool.
Is it a Linux operating system or?
Well, it's Unix-like, so it probably uses like command line similar.
Probably the same shell and that you're used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can have a bash shell on a bash shell on a BBC micro. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. I might have
It
to
is actually.
come back and read up on that.
Unfortunately, I've got nothing with a 6502 to try on.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm not sure how I would take a look at something like that.
An emulator. We have BBC emulators and so on Linux, so we could run it on one of those.
Yeah, I guess you could do that. Appreciate the super chat there from Bob in the chat too. Thanks, Bob. Any of you guys got any tech-related gifts that you plan on purchasing for yourself or for others this year? I'm wondering what the hot tech items are this year. Any of you guys?
That is a good question. I do need some more tech, actually. I mean, I'm on my old laptop now, and it's getting a bit long in the tooth. It's serving me well so far, but I do need to upgrade. I really do need to upgrade.
You're going to get you that new...
Do I mention NVMe? And like, yeah. I'm so behind the curve. I'm only on M2 SATA. I've got to upgrade.
This machine I bought a few months back, this computer I bought, in February or March, has an NVMe drive, and it's the first time I've ever had one. And I don't know if you can really tell a difference between that and SSD. Maybe you can. I don't know, because I sometimes boot into other operating systems on this machine that run on SSDs. I have 6 SSDs also in this machine to, just test out distros.
NVMe is supposed to have 4 times the throughput, isn't it?
Yeah, at least.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's tied to the Express bus. It's actually tied to the rather than through the static controller.
Yeah, just everyday stuff though. Pulling up a browser or text editor or whatever. Yeah, I'm not sure most people would ever notice much of a difference.
Have you used your extra RAM yet? Made use of it, or is it?
Oh, the 64 gigs. I pull up VMs every now and then, and it's nice to, on my old machine. Sometimes if I wanted to check out 2 or 3 different VMs, you'd have to open one, check something out, close it, open a new one. I can have half a dozen running, no problem on this thing.
If I give each Linux like a gig of RAM, I can open up 4.
You start running problems with your processor though, probably. Because I have the 24 thread Threadripper.
I've only got 4 threads.
Yeah, I can give my VMs 1 thread, and they're just fine because the Threadripper 1 thread is a beefy thread. And then, I can still give each VM 8 gigs of RAM and still have, half a dozen open. And it won't bother the machine at all. Now, if I was live streaming, it might bother the machine a little bit. But just me playing around, not recording it. Yeah. I actually did an experiment on a live stream. Was about a month or 2 ago. I was live streaming. I was doing something in a VM. And somebody's like, how many VMs can you open up? I opened up
what you want to eat, because I ain't fucking with cooking. I only go to McDonald's.
I opened up almost 10, I think, before the stream crashed.
10. That'll. Okay. I opened up one of my streams when it just crashed.
Yeah. All 10 VMs got 2 threads, I think. It's probably why it crashed. And they all got 4 gigs of RAM. And I was live streaming. Live streaming obviously is very CPU intensive. So I got up to 10 VMs running before everything went down.
Nice one. I don't know what it was. I done a stream the other day, 201, and for some reason someone just maxed out my CPU. I mean, 100%, and I had a load of 22. I had a look on HStop. I'm going, oh, this is not. Are you buffering? No, really?
Yeah. I do see a lot of
and then it settled down. No idea what it was.
I see a lot of tech-related streamers, too, that don't realize when they're streaming how much CPU they're using, because you probably just never fire up HTOP or something and check it out. But you're probably using nearly 100%. Because I've seen people try to do strange things they shouldn't do live streaming. Like, I'm going to compile Gentoo while live streaming. No. No, you compile Gentoo on a different machine, not the one you're streaming on, if you want to record it while live streaming. Don't do it on the one you're live streaming on.
Find out he's streaming from a Core 2 Duo. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. I mean, you can do it. It would just take you about 2 weeks on that live stream.
That was nothing. It's just strange. I mean, OBS. I mean, I stream on OBS. And that takes about 30% on all cores.
Yeah.
Using
when I do
X264, I don't have anything or anything. It has to be software.
Yeah, I do CPU encoding. Actually, right now while I'm streaming, I'm actually using the Threadripper to stream this. This is not GPU encoded. And let's see what I am using if I can fire up HTOP here. And we'll see how much CPU. I mean,
I've got a little computer limit.
20% of pretty much all the threads. So
I'm using
that ain't bad.
30% now on Zoom and YouTube chat.
Yeah. So the Threadripper, I mean, CPU encoding, live streaming, there's no way I could do that on my old processor. It's impossible. This one, it doesn't even use 20% of the CPU. So the best purchase I ever made, right? Like, you don't realize how important the processor is until you have a good one. And it's like, why didn't I buy one of these before?
I know, right? Mind you, there is a new AMD processor next year, 64 thread, 128 thread, 64 core. That I can draw over that.
Yeah,
people say, RAM, what would you use it for? Well, compiling.
And somebody was mentioned about the RAM. I bumped it up from 32 to 64 gigs of RAM. That 32 gig stick, well, it was 2 16 gig sticks. So now I got 4 times 16 in the machine. But it cost me about $200 for the 32 gigs. I don't know if that's better prices or worse prices than they were before. I know RAM prices have been crazy. GPU prices, of course, have been through the roof for years now. I don't know if we're going to ever see those settle back down.
Yeah, thank you, miners. Bit mining. That's why all the CPUs went up in price.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what folks say.
GPUs, sorry.
Yeah, it's all the crypto miners, and that's why you can't get a NVIDIA 2080 for less than the price of a used Buick now.
Gets me about the bit mining is it's not doing anything useful. You think they could do something useful like protein folding or something scientific on it, as well as just churning out cycles for
well,
I
read a story. Yeah, I read a story a month or two ago about China wanting to ban crypto mining because it was wasteful, as far as electricity and resources.
They've been doing that quite a bit, I think.
Yeah.
It's just there's certain areas where they banned it locally in Washington State, I think, because it's consuming too much electricity. They've been doing it. It's just a complete carbon waste, is what it is.
It's a bad model, and they should have designed crypto mining in a way it doesn't require electricity. Really, it's wasteful. Yes, it's just
blatantly wasteful.
Yeah. Yeah, and somebody in the chat is asking, are miners still using GPUs? What kind of rigs are the professional crypto miners using these days?
Probably RX 280s.
Are they?
2080 RXs.
You're talking about the
but the thing is, the TI 2080s. But the thing is about mining GPUs is they don't have any headers to plug the monitor in. They're just literally the GPU. So they're using the GPU as a CPU, if you wish.
Yeah. And he was asking about, are they still using the ASICs instead of using, your traditional graphics cards? I don't know.
Okay, could be.
Yeah,
I've looked into it for a long time, to be fair.
I haven't either. I've never looked into it. I've never I've never mined for Bitcoin, you know,
No.
even at the beginning when people were first getting into it. I was like, man, this looks retarded. I'm not about to set up an extra machine that's running 24/7, you know, to try to gain a couple of bucks or whatever. And then they're like, well, but this Bitcoin, it's going to be very expensive when you get it. You know, it's going to be worth a few $100 and this and that. And it's, okay, well, let's buy $3,000 worth of computer equipment to mine. And let's not talk about the rise in your electric bill. Right. So
exactly.
People don't think it out.
What power supply?
Yeah. And the young kids are like, you don't understand. I don't pay the electric bill. My parents pay it. And I was like, come on.
Yeah.
I've actually heard people say that. Yeah. It's like, it wouldn't be profitable if I had to pay the electric bill, but my parents are paying it.
Yeah. What's this 100 quid a month? 100 quid a month electric bill. What's going on here?
Yeah. Thanks for the super chat, Geek in the chat. What Linux distro are you using? Also themes on my main PC. So I am using Arco Linux. I'm not showing my desktop, obviously, on this video, but I'm using Xmonad at the moment. But I have 7 or 8 different window managers installed, and I log into all of them on occasion. I think I have Awesome, DWM, i3, Qtile, Xmonad, Herbstluft, BSPWM, and StumpWM all installed on this system.
PC Linux OS with OpenBox here.
It's on a different drive, but I do have PC Linux OS with OpenBox on one of my drives.
I'm back.
Oh, welcome back.
Big Pod, what are you running these days? The chat wants to know.
Arch, what else is there?
Arch, okay. I thought you were still on Fedora.
Or Gentoo.
Uh-oh, we lost your audio again, Big Pod.
It's Arch with KDE.
Arch with KDE?
Arch and Plasma.
Yeah.
That's a respectable choice.
It is. It is.
I'm running 2 Debian 9 Proxmox and ZFS root file system, and I'm running Ubuntu 19.10 on another one, and I've just installed Manjaro on another one. So I've got 4 networked
My
machines.
server is running, I believe, Debian 10 Proxmox.
Yours is.
Yeah, my server is, I believe it's the Buster release of Proxmox.
Okay.
Yeah, in the chat, somebody was mentioning that in some countries, electricity is almost free.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know.
I wish it was there.
It's not here, but yeah.
I wish it was almost free here.
That's all dependent on what they use as a source. Like if it's the hydro based, yeah, it's pretty darn free. Or
Yeah.
if it is something like nuclear fuel based, it's also quite free. But if it is coal based, it's expensive as hell.
Well, in the UK, we're 5% coal, the rest is nuclear, solar, and wind.
Here we have, I believe, 50% nuclear. Other is, I believe, something to the tune of 10% water. Then everything else is, I believe, coal, and then small part of it is solar and wind.
I see Proxmox, you were mentioning it, just had a distribution release a couple of days ago.
Really?
Yeah, they released 6.1, quote, mail gateway. I don't know.
That's another thing.
Mail server.
It's
a mail server. Yeah.
They have 2 products. They have the mail gateway and the virtual environment. I'm using virtual environment. It's for virtualization server, and it is, I believe, it's actually free, as in free by free software foundation free, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, it wouldn't shock me being a server distribution. There shouldn't be that much installed by default. There shouldn't be any proprietary garbage in it. So
it is GNU. It is licensed under GNU AGPL v3.
Mm-hmm. And just looking around, I see Dev1 also had a release last week for those that like Debian without systemd. So I've never actually looked at that one. Probably should.
Actually, no. Boy, you know, and I should. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Debian with sysv init still. You know, that's the guys that got mad when they moved to System D and moved over.
That's right. Yeah.
Started the yep.
It's quite successfully as well.
Same thing with the Arch guys that went and created Arctics with Runit and OpenRC. And a lot of people still run Arctics too. So I'm surprised that those, what I call protest distros, are still running. I don't think that's a good model to start a distribution as a protest distribution, but those two projects are still going.
Well, that's how a lot of people will get onto the BSD as a protest distro.
Well, to be honest, Linux Mint, that's how they started. Is basically people were moving to, it's not the developers, but the people moved to it as a protest distro. It's like, I hate Ubuntu for what they're doing with I'm going to Mint. Now, so like 90% of the people that moved to Mint back in the day, it was basically a protest. I hate you, Ubuntu. I'm moving to Mint.
Do you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we hear you.
Derek, I have a question. Recently, I saw that you started discussion on Reddit about the tiling window manager. So there was just a question about the best tiling window manager, and I saw that one of guys put the comment that he used DWM, and it's pretty light because it used 1 megabyte of RAM. So it was very confusing. I remember that some time ago you were trying this, and just wanted to ask what was your experience.
1 megabyte of RAM. I'm not sure what he means by that.
I'll double check it.
If he's just talking about,
just to make sure that he
that doesn't sound right for even for DWM.
Yeah, I've never had a window manager like I actually set it up, on a machine. The smallest RAM footprint that I could ever get was, I've gotten some that would load up with like 90 megs of RAM. If they got no other services running, the fastest one I ever checked out was JWM, which is a floating window manager similar to OpenBox, but it's just crazy how little RAM that particular window manager uses.
Isn't Puppy
uses JWM? That's correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
But tiling window managers, all of them I've tried. I mean, I can get them 200 megs of RAM or under, which is still really, really good. 1 meg of RAM, that's strange. Not sure.
That's why I put second time the question just to double check, and he confirmed that this is just 1 meg.
Yeah, well, he may have been talking for me. I wonder if he was just talking about like the process itself, DWM running, not
I was going to say
the whole system.
Linux itself have to be more than 1 megabyte.
The lowest I get is 243 megabytes, and that's on my Trinity.
I was going to say, a TTY would use more than 1. Like,
yeah,
absolutely.
1 megabyte is strange. Yeah, that's not sure what he meant there.
Basically, 1 megabyte. No logic basically means. Because I don't know how big is minimal size. I believe it's actually more than 1 meg. That actually space actually filled up by a single stuff. You can't go below that. It's 4 megs, but I'm not sure.
Steven in the chat says he can get it DWM to boot on OpenBSD with 62 megs. Yeah, that sounds about right. It depends on how stripped down. If you strip out enough stuff on your system, you can get most of these tiling window managers to boot under 100 megs. It just depends.
X minimal stuff for X, minimal stuff for everything, and just go that.
Make sure that you got no background services, no daemons running. I mean,
small, but is it actually a useful system?
But a useful system, 200 megs is, that's achievable, I think, with all of them.
Well, I've just done a free M here with I've just booted a VM up, and what I've done is I've gone into single user mode. It's using 22 meg of RAM.
Yeah.
So that's the minimum I can get out of it. It's 22 meg of RAM. But then again, there's no services running, there's no X running, there's nothing running. It's literally just a shell.
Yeah, and And is that a usable system? No, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can still do things with it. I'm just switching to Init 3 now, which is CLI multi-user. Let's see what that brings up.
Yeah, but as soon as you open up Firefox,
Oh yeah,
or you,
watch the gig around come.
Yeah, and let's open up OBS and stream it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was running still like 3 gig of RAM when I was using OBS with a VM and so on.
I mean, I've got Firefox with 4 tabs open. I've got Zoom open, the Zoom chat open. I've got OBS open, and I'm streaming. Let's see how much RAM we're using. 5.03 gigs.
Oh, I'm using
Not
5.5. But I have Firefox with like 15 tabs open, Brave with like 15 tabs open, Lutris, Radeon Profile, Electron Player, Gnome Terminal, and Nemo. So I've got quite a bit open. But
I have 2.1 gigabytes and I have 2 Firefox windows, Gnome, a Gnome Terminal, Zoom, and a bunch of background processes. So I'm pretty
1.02 gig I'm using, and I've got Zoom open, VirtualBox open, YouTube chat, and HTOP. Volume control. And I'm using just over a gig.
What DE are you using? I'm using KDE.
Oh, I'm on OpenBox.
I'm on KDE.
Hmm.
So that's probably.
But KDE is really quite light. People don't realise how light KDE Plasma is actually.
That's probably a quarter of my 2 gigs used. Probably KDE.
Well, my Trinity VM is usually 41.5 megabytes on Init 3, which is CLI multi-user.
Yeah,
quite chuffed over there.
Yeah, I'm using Deepin desktop environments right now, so
that's quite heavy. Deepin's quite heavy. That's like using Gnome.
It's a lot better than Gnome. At least it looks.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a burn.
Deepin doesn't have any memory leaks, does it?
No, true.
Yeah. I know I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble talking about Gnome again. I gotta stop. I'm trying. I'm getting better, guys. I recognize the problem. I'm trying to fix it.
Yeah, say how you feel, mate. Say how you feel.
All right, guys. Well, we're getting close to the 2-hour mark here, so let's get a last word from everybody on our way out. So, Ali, send us out, sir.
Yes, sir. Oh, thank you for the stream. It's been a blast. It's been fun. We've had some good debates over different subjects. We won't go into them again.
The Init system debate was awesome. Thank you, Ali.
Yeah,
what else?
That was quite cool. Yeah, because we got 2 people in here that are different sides of the fence. Yeah. I'll be releasing my Trinity around the 4th of December. So that'll be a new ISO coming out. Just got some nice little touching up to do. Yeah, well, thank you very much, Derek. Much appreciated. Yeah. And everyone in the chat, thank you for your comments and stuff. It's been amazing.
Yeah, can't wait to check out the new Trinity. And you guys check out Present Arms Linux here on YouTube. You put out some recent videos.
I'll be posting on. Yeah, I do quite a few actually.
Yeah,
I've been doing quite a few. I've been pretty prolific. I think that's a good word. Prolific.
Yeah, I like that big word.
Yeah.
All right, Big Bud. Last word, sir.
What to say? Google requires people, for a new hire to have knowledge in Python, JavaScript, bad languages. That's all I can say.
Yes, if you know Python and JavaScript, Google wants you. So I hope you're brushing up on those JavaScript skills. I know it's your favorite language.
Definitely.
Yeah. I already know that you manage a Python project. What is it? Dupliseek. Yeah. Now you need a JavaScript piece of software on your resume. You got to get JavaScript on the resume.
Actually, there might be a project I might be using JavaScript as well.
Okay.
but
Yeah,
it's probably a proprietary project, depending
Ooh.
on who I'm working after that, because it's not yet determined with who I'm going to be working, and if it's gonna be sold, maybe.
Huh. Very cool. Yeah, I just
Hopefully.
hate to see you miss out on that job down the road when they asking you about your programming languages and they're like, "Hey, man, I'm not hearing JavaScript."
I might actually be maybe I will go into self-employment and not even go for a
very
job.
cool. Oh.
Haven't decided. Still in school.
All right, Big Bob. Well, thanks for joining us. Streetlight, are you there? Did you want to give us a last word? He hasn't spoken during the stream. I'm not sure if he is there. He may be just hanging out. Puel, you want to give us a last word? And he is also away. Matt.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello.
Just wanted to thank you for a good debate and great chat. I was there and looking forward for the next one, as it was the first one I joined.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for joining us. Yeah, join us next time. These are always fun. Matt, do you have a last word? His camera's turned now. I'm not sure.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I just want to say thanks for having me. These are fun. It's nice to talk. Like, where I'm at in Eastern Kentucky, there's not a whole lot. I've been converting as many people as I can. I've installed Linux on about 8 people's computers. They all love it. But it's nice to get to actually talk with people that aren't on Reddit and just trying to
on
be
social media, right?
Yeah, and actually talk about Linux and stuff. So these are always fun. I appreciate it. That's about it.
It's nice talking to real people and not just pixels on a screen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thank
Murray,
you.
give us a last word, sir.
Well, thank you, Derek. Again, it was a pleasant way to spend the morning. I've been spending the last 4 months a lot of time learning how to create app images. And I've got quite a few interesting things have shown up. And so maybe next week we can go over that if you like. And one of the things is I've learned how to distribute Python code, which is quite difficult. BigPod Snap has to include the runtime. I've got a way that I can distribute code by just sending the runtime over once and not with every single application you develop. So yeah, I think a few things would be interesting to some people next time around.
Don't talk about making Python work in Snap. It's an experience. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, it's just app images. I can send the Python 3.8 runtime over to say to Derek, and then I can create the applications in Python virtual machines that are very small, and you don't have to uncompress the runtime every time you have an application on it. So I'm working on it. That's the best decision I've made in the last couple of years. It's revolutionized the way I do software development. It's before app images and after app images on it. So yeah, I can go into that a bit if you like.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about packaging stuff up as app image. Yeah, that's a really neat technology, and I don't think enough people promote app image as an alternative to things like Snap and Flatpak.
It's good. Well, there's desktop package managers, and there's project package managers like app images, snaps, and Flatpak, and then there's private. And app images are good for private stuff you don't want to put in a public area, but you want to use on your own shop or your own team or your own company. And app images are excellent for that on it. So.
You can make snaps also work on private stuff. Basically, you can actually have a private store for Snap. It's but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can compare it next time. We'll compare notes on it next time.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea. If you guys remind me next time, we'll get into some package formatting debates next time, since we did the init systems this week.
You were looking for suggestions for things to do, Derek, and you mentioned bash scripting. One of the things, YAD is a very good GUI manager. You can do file open, and you can do yes, no buttons, and you can use search boxes. It's quite easy to do in Batch, so that might be a reasonable topic sometime.
Okay.
And, what I'd like to see, I'm a big fan of ZFS, so I'd like to see someone create a SSD with 4 partitions on it, my videos, my audio, my images, and my documents, and do it with departed, and then show you how you go into FS tab and then make the entries, and then delete the video one, so you got a big gap, and use that to add it to my documents, the shenanigans you have to go through to do that. And then I'd like to see that wiped out and use ZFS on the same drive and do the same thing with ZFS. And it should show how much easier it is to do those kind of things. ZFS is the replacement for gparted, as well as being a file system.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it probably has its own utilities, needs to work, but gparted is quite easy to resize.
But not to rearrange. If you wanted to rearrange space on your drive after deleting a partition, you want to take that space and add it to the end of the drive. You've got to go through a lot just to reclaim the space.
Yeah, but that's actually a problem of the file systems itself, and the problem of specifically the problem of the way hard drives were. With SSD, that's not a problem, but with hard drives it was. And nowadays, stuff like ZFS goes around it.
That's what I'm saying. Compare ZFS gparted. Yeah.
And you cannot compare gparted with ZFS. That's a bad way of thinking.
No.
ZFS is a file system. It's not a partition manager.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. They're called data sets. They're called data sets. You can put compression on it. You can put NFS. Yeah. You can delete them just like you can delete a gparted partition on it. I've been using it for 2 years.
All right, guys.
All right. Time out.
That's enough.
Thank you for the last word, Murray. We'll get back to this debate too on the next patrons chat. Big Pod, I'm sure he's got a lot to say about ZFS as well.
ZFS is awesome.
Let me get to my last word on our way out here. I need to thank these guys here, all these names you see on the screen. These are all the patrons, the ones that couldn't be here today. Of course, I want to thank Ali and Big Pod, Streetlight, Puel, Matt, and Murray for hanging out with me. All right, guys. We'll see you next month. Peace. All right.
Yeah, peace. See you next month.
Yeah. All right. Big Pod, learn that JavaScript.